A News24 report has uncovered a coordinated campaign linked to a digital marketing agency in India that's behind more than 80 fake news stories about South Africa. It follows a viral false story about the imminent launch of a congestion tax in Cape Town. It's been reported that the marketing agency hijacked at least 2 local websites and populated them with fake news about the country. Media Monitoring Africa Director William Bird joins us to unpack this. William, a very good evening to you. A very disturbing story. Fake news again becoming a spotlight. What do we know about these websites?
So what appears to be the operating platform for this is that people are taking sites that are legitimate South African domains that are no longer in popular use. They're effectively taking them over, so continuing them as what they once upon a time were, and then starting to populate them with false and misleading information in order to spread mis and disinformation in the country. What's quite curious about this is that these appear to be coming out of an agency in India. So it's not clear what aim or to what purpose this is, but this kind of thing of malware where you spread false information to try and make money, or where you're doing it to make money for profits, is the kind of thing that can be particularly harmful. And at this stage, it's not clear why they're doing this, but if someone is paying money for these things to happen, it may well be part of a broader group of people that are setting up similar sites to do very similar things.
And is there any way of tracking the people who are the original owners of those domains?
So the News24 team went and managed to find out some information about them, but obviously because of the privacy issues and the cross-border nature of this, they weren't able to discover much more than the country of origin, and that it was some kind of a digital agency. And that's one of the major challenges that we face across the world in dealing with these kinds of cyber crimes, is when people do take these things and they actively mislead and undermine what was once potentially a fairly legitimate site. It's very hard to go and track them. So there's a clear need for there to be greater levels of transparency and for greater levels of accountability, because in the current instance, the story was that they helped identify this was about traffic congestion charges, which seems a fairly innocent enough thing. But you can imagine how in the lead up to elections, for example, these sites could be used to spread mis and disinformation that's seemingly of a local nature that would then potentially undermine the electoral process, and then it can shift to something else. So using this thing, getting it up and running several months in advance, means that people can start to see it. They get an idea of what stories get traction and which ones don't, and it just helps them frame their model to make sure that when they're ready to launch their campaign, it can be that much more effective. So we really do need to see far greater cross-border cooperation, particularly with entities where it can be shown that these sites are being used for mis and disinformation.
And just quickly and in closing, William, your investigation was launched after that fake news about the congestion tax in Cape Town. What are the other kinds of stories that they're publishing as well in these fake news?
So, I mean, there were many stories that they were generating, and some of them are seemingly imagining things, and they're being generated by AI, and some of them go back to stories around how much load shedding, for example, is going to be we're going to be enduring, and those sorts of things. So seemingly, as I've said, stories that aren't necessarily of national consequences, but the kind of things that really can get people angry or upset. So I imagine that they're doing this more for a purpose of testing to see and learning about the audiences and what they'd respond to and what they don't. When you're doing this thing in an AI-generated manner, it's very much, particularly when it's these kinds of things, you can be pretty sure that they're doing this to kind of gather what their users are, who they are, where they are. So it's very much an information gathering exercise. Whether they then use that just for profit extraction, or whether they can use it to spread mis and disinformation of a political nature, well, that's anyone's guess at this point.
Very concerning indeed, but thank you very much for bringing us that investigation and report as well. That is Media Monitoring Africa Director William Bird.